The alarm screamed through the training hall. Red lights flashed across the metal walls. Inside the combat simulator, 6 young Velner cadets scrambled in different directions, their tiger-like ears flat against their heads in panic. "Left side breach," Tay shouted, his striped fur bristling as he charged toward the enemy markers alone. He was the leader of Squadron 17, and he would prove his worth. "I have the right," Juan called out, running the opposite way from his leader. Each cadet thought the same thing. They had to show their individual strength. They had to prove they were worthy warriors. The simulation ended 30 seconds later. Mission failed. Again, Tay slammed his fist against the wall as they exited the chamber. His squad stood around him, heads down, tails dragging on the floor. They had failed every single exercise for 3 months straight. Every combat drill, every tactical test, every team challenge ended the same way. Failure. Bora, the largest of the group, wiped sweat from her brow. "I do not understand. I trained harder than anyone. My strikes were perfect. My speed was flawless," Nari added, her lean frame still trembling from the effort. "I reached every target first." Young growled low in his throat. "Then why do we keep losing?" Day, the communications specialist, said nothing. He just stared at the ground, shame burning in his golden eyes. Young Hana, the newest member who had joined them only a month ago, looked at each of her squad mates. She wanted to say something, but she was the youngest. Who would listen to her? The door hissed open. Instructor Rock entered, his massive frame filling the doorway. He was an old Velner warrior, covered in scars from 100 battles. His face showed no mercy. "Squadron 17, he said, his voice cold as space. That was pathetic. Tay straightened his back. "Sir, we will train harder. We will meditate longer. We will..." Silence. Rock's roar made them all flinch. "You have dishonored your families. You have shamed your bloodlines. Other species laugh at the Velner because of you. The proud tiger warriors, reduced to cubs who cannot complete basic exercises." The words hit harder than any physical blow. Each cadet came from important families. Tay's father was a fleet commander. Juan's mother served in the Velner High Council. Bora's ancestors had won legendary battles. They carried the weight of generations on their shoulders. "You have one more chance," Rock continued. "The gauntlet trials begin in 30 days. Pass them, or you will be expelled from the academy forever. Do you understand what that means? You will return home in disgrace. Your families will never speak your names with pride again." "We understand, sir," Tay said, forcing his voice to stay steady. Rock looked at each of them. "I do not understand how this happened. You have the best genetics, the strongest training, the proudest heritage. Yet you fail where weaker species succeed. Fix this, or accept that you are not worthy to be Velner warriors." He left them alone in the training hall. The silence felt heavy, crushing. Tay looked at his squad. These were supposed to be his brothers and sisters in battle. Instead, they felt like strangers who happened to wear the same uniform. "We train tonight," Tay announced. "Double sessions. We will run the meditation exercises until we achieve perfect focus. We will practice our combat forms until our movements are flawless." We have done all of that already," Hana said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. She shrank back slightly but continued. "We train harder than any other squadron. We meditate longer. We practice more. But we still lose, maybe. Maybe we are doing something wrong." "Are you saying our traditions are wrong?" Yang snapped. "The Velner way has won wars for thousands of years." "I am not saying that," Hana replied quickly. "I just mean, maybe there is something we are missing." Tay shook his head. "We are missing discipline. We are missing focus. Tonight we train. That is final. They trained for 6 hours that night. They pushed their bodies past exhaustion. They meditated until their minds went blank. They practiced every strike, every block, every tactical formation that the Vellner masters had taught them for centuries. The next day, they failed another simulation even worse than before. In the cafeteria, cadets from other species whispered and pointed. The Kryn insectoids clicked their mandibles in amusement. The Thorian rock beings rumbled with laughter. Even the wisp energy creatures, who rarely showed emotion, seemed to glow with mockery. "Look, the mighty Vellner tigers," one of the Kryn cadets said loud enough for everyone to hear. "So fierce, so strong, so completely useless as a team." Juan started to stand, his claws extending, but Tay grabbed his arm. "Do not. We prove ourselves through success, not fighting in a cafeteria." But how could they succeed when everything they tried ended in failure? That night, Tay sat alone in his quarters, staring at a hologram of his father. The old commander looked so proud, so strong. What would he say when his son returned home in disgrace? Tay had never failed at anything in his life. He had been the top student in his clan school. He had won every combat tournament. He was supposed to be a leader, a hero, a legend. Instead, he was the leader of the most failed squadron in Academy history. He heard a soft knock on his door. "Come in," he said. All 5 of his squad mates entered. They looked as tired and hopeless as he felt. "We need to talk," Juan said. "All of us. Really talk, not just plan more training." They sat together on the floor of his small room. For the first time in months, they did not discuss tactics or exercises or Vellner honor codes. They just talked as people. About their fears. About the crushing weight of expectations. About how alone they each felt, even when surrounded by their squad. "I am afraid," Bora admitted. "Not of battle. I am afraid of being nothing. Of being a disappointment." One by one, they each shared the same fear. And for the first time, they realized they were not alone in it, but knowing they shared the same fear did not tell them how to fix their problem. In 28 days, the gauntlet trials would begin, and Squadron 17 still had no idea how to pass them. The announcement came during morning formation. Commandant Vex, a towering Thorian made of living crystal, addressed the assembled cadets with his booming voice. "We have a new instructor joining the Academy. He comes from Earth, the newest member species of the Galactic Defense Alliance. Instructor Jin will serve as a cultural liaison and tactical advisor." Murmurs rippled through the ranks. Earth? That primitive world full of soft, furless beings? What could they possibly teach anyone? Tay barely paid attention. He was too busy running through combat sequences in his mind, trying to figure out what Squadron 17 was doing wrong. 26 days until the gauntlet trials. 26 days to transform from failures into warriors. After formation, Tay led his squad to their morning exercise in the zero-gravity chamber. They were halfway through their warm-up routine when the door opened. A human walked in, and every Vellner stopped to stare. He was small compared to them. No fur, no claws, no natural weapons at all. Just smooth skin, dark hair, and eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. He wore the instructor uniform, but it looked almost comical on his slight frame. "Good morning," the human said with a slight bow. "My name is Jin. I hope I am not interrupting." "We are training," Tay said, perhaps more sharply than necessary. "Sir," Jin smiled. It was a strange expression, showing his flat teeth. "I can see that. Would you mind if I observed? I am still learning about different species training methods." Before Tay could answer, Instructor Rock appeared behind Jin. Instructor Jin has been assigned to observe various squadrons. "You will cooperate fully." "Yes, sir," Tay said. They continued their exercises while the human sat quietly on a bench, watching. It made them all uncomfortable, being studied like specimens in a laboratory. But they tried to ignore him and focus on their training. 3 hours later, exhausted and frustrated, they took a break. Jin approached them with a curious expression on his face. "That was very impressive," he said. "Your individual skills are remarkable. Each of you moves like a trained warrior. Yet we fail every team exercise," Juan said bitterly. "Our individual skills mean nothing." Jin tilted his head. "May I ask you all some questions? Not about tactics or training, just personal questions?" Yang frowned. "What kind of questions? Like, what do you enjoy doing when you are not training? What makes you laugh? What do you dream about?" The squad exchanged confused glances. What did any of that matter? "We are warriors," Bora said slowly. "We train. We study tactics. We prepare for service. But you are also people, right?" Jin pulled out a small device and sat cross-legged on the floor. "Please, humor me. I am new here and trying to understand everyone better." Something about the way he sat, so casual and unthreatening, made Hana sit down across from him. Then, one by one, the others joined. Jin asked them about their homes, their families, their favorite foods. He asked Nari about the music she listened to during meditation. He asked Bora about the stories her grandmother told her as a cub. He asked Tae about the games he played with his siblings. At first, they answered carefully, formally. But Jin had a way of asking follow-up questions that made them forget they were talking to an instructor. He laughed at their stories, shared his own experiences from Earth, and treated their failures not as shameful secrets, but as interesting problems to solve. "On Earth," Jin said, "we have a saying. A problem shared is a problem halved. It means when you talk about difficulties with others, they become easier to handle." "Velner do not share weaknesses," Young said firmly. "We overcome them through personal strength." Jin nodded thoughtfully. "I understand. Every culture has different approaches. But may I share an observation?" "Yes, sir," Tae said. "I watched your exercises today. Each of you is exceptionally skilled. Bora, your strength is incredible. Nari, your speed is amazing. Dae, your awareness of your surroundings is sharp. Juan, your tactical thinking is advanced. Yang, your precision is flawless. Tae, your leadership instincts are strong. And Hannah, you see patterns that others miss." They sat straighter, surprised by the specific praise. "But," Jin continued gently, "when you work together, you seem to be 6 separate warriors trying to fight the same battle. Not one team fighting together. You never call out to each other. You never ask for help. You never adjust based on what your squad mates are doing. Because we must each be strong enough to handle our own challenges," Tae explained. "If we rely on others, we become weak." Jin pulled out a small ball from his pocket. "May I show you something?" He tossed the ball to Juan, who caught it easily. "Juan, try to put the ball in that container across the room. But you cannot move from where you sit, and you cannot throw it." Juan looked confused. "That is impossible with those restrictions." "Exactly," Jin said. "But what if I change the rules? You cannot move or throw, but your squad mates can. Now is it possible?" Understanding dawned on Juan's face. He rolled the ball to Nari, who was closer to the container. She picked it up, ran across the room, and dropped it in. "On Earth," Jin said, "we learned something important. Individual strength matters, but it is not everything. Sometimes, the strongest action is knowing when to pass the ball to someone in a better position. Sometimes, true strength is trusting your team." "That sounds like weakness disguised as wisdom," Young muttered. Jin laughed. "Maybe, but let me ask you this. Earth is not a strong world. We have no natural weapons, no tough skin, no special abilities. Compared to any of you, an individual human is quite weak. Then how did your species survive? Bora asked. We learned to work together. Not because we wanted to, but because we had to. Humans survive not by being the strongest individuals, but by being the best team players. He stood and brushed off his pants. Anyway, I have taken enough of your time. Thank you for talking with me. He started to leave, then paused at the door. Oh, one more thing. I was told you have 26 days until your gauntlet trials. If you would like, I could work with you. Not as a replacement for your current training, but as an additional perspective. Completely optional, of course. After he left, the squad sat in silence. Absolutely not, Young said immediately. We do not need some human teaching us how to be warriors. We are Velner. We follow Velner methods. Our Velner methods have led to 3 months of failures, Hana said quietly. So we train harder with our methods. Yang insisted. Tay closed his eyes. Pride warred with desperation inside him. Everything in his culture, his upbringing, his training said that accepting help from an outsider, especially from a species as weak as humans, would be shameful. But in 26 days, they would face the gauntlet trials. And if they failed, the shame of expulsion would be far worse than the shame of accepting help. We vote, Kay said finally. All in favor of asking Instructor Jin to train us? Hannah raised her hand immediately. They hesitated, then raised his. Bora looked at Yang, then slowly raised hers too. Juan met Tay's eyes. They both knew what this meant. They were abandoning their pride, maybe even betraying their traditions. But they were also out of options. Together, they raised their hands. Only Yang kept his hand down, his face dark with disapproval. But 5 out of 6 was enough. The next morning, Tay found Jin in the instructor's lounge, drinking something that smelled terrible from a small cup. Instructor Jin, Tay said formally. Squadron 17 requests your assistance with our training. Jin looked up, and that strange human smile crossed his face again. I would be honored. When do we start? Immediately, Tay said. We have 25 days. Jin's smile widened. Then we better get started. But I warn you, my methods are different from what you are used to. Tay thought about the 3 months of failure. Good, he said. Our methods are not working anyway. The first day of training with Jin left Squadron 17 completely confused. Instead of taking them to the combat simulators, Jin led them to an empty gymnasium. He carried a bag full of strange equipment and had that calm smile on his face that somehow made Tay both hopeful and nervous. Today, Jin announced, we are going to play a game. A game? Yang's tail lashed with irritation. We have 24 days until the trials. We need real training, not games. This is real training, Jin said. Trust me. Now, here is how we play tag. One person is it and tries to touch the others. When you are touched, you become it instead. Simple, right? Boris stared at him. This is a Cubs game. We played this when we were children. Perfect. Then you already know the rules. I will be it first. Ready? Before anyone could protest, Jin tagged Juan on the shoulder and ran away laughing. Juan stood there, bewildered, then slowly began chasing Jin. The human was not as fast as any Velner, but he was tricky. He dodged. He changed direction suddenly. He used obstacles in ways that made it hard to catch him. Help me corner him, Juan called to the others. No helping, Young said. This is one-on-one. Jin laughed from across the room. Actually, Juan can have helpers if he wants. No rule against teamwork. Juan hesitated, then looked at Nari. She was the fastest. Nari, cut him off from the left? Something clicked. Nari grinned and sprinted left while Juan went right. Jin tried to dodge between them, but Nari tagged him. Then Nari was it, and she immediately looked at her squad mates. "Surround Tay," she called. "Why me?" Tay yelped, but he was already running, his squad mates coordinating without thinking about it. They communicated. They anticipated each other's movements. They worked together to corner their targets. For the first time in months, they were not 6 individuals. They were a unit. After an hour of playing tag, they were all breathing hard and laughing. Actually laughing. When had they last done that? That was fun, Hana admitted. But I do not understand what it has to do with combat training. Jin sat them down in a circle. What did you do differently just now compared to your combat simulations? We talked to each other, they said slowly. We coordinated our movements, Juan added. We helped each other without thinking about who got the credit for the tag, Bora realized. Exactly. Jin beamed at them. In a game, you did naturally what you cannot seem to do in combat exercises. You worked as a team. Why? Tay thought about it. Because in a game, there is no shame in asking for help. And because the goal was to win together, not to prove individual worth, Nari said. Jin nodded. Now imagine treating every combat simulation the same way. Not as a test of your personal honor, but as a game where the only goal is for the team to win. Can you do that? Over the next week, Jin introduced them to more human activities. They played something called basketball, where teamwork was essential. They cooked meals together, learning to coordinate in the kitchen. Jin even taught them human songs that they could sing while running, keeping their pace synchronized. Instructor Rock watched one of these sessions with a horrified expression. This is not warrior training. This is a mockery of Velner traditions. Jin bowed respectfully. With respect, sir, I am not trying to replace Velner traditions. I am trying to help them pass the gauntlet trials. May I show you something? He ran a simulation. The same urban combat scenario Squadron 17 had failed countless times before. But this time, they did not scatter. Tay called out enemy positions. Juan coordinated their movements. Bora held a defensive position while Nari scouted ahead. They maintained constant communication, asking and answering questions without shame. Hana spotted a flanking route and immediately shared it. They passed. Not perfectly, but they passed. Rock's jaw dropped. How? They already had all the skills, Jin explained. They just needed to learn how to combine them. Velner culture teaches incredible individual excellence. Human culture teaches teamwork. Together, these approaches create something special. But not everyone was convinced. Yang grew more resistant with each passing day. This is wrong, he said one evening. We are abandoning our heritage. My ancestors would be ashamed. Our ancestors would be more ashamed if we failed and got expelled, Juan countered. Better to fail with honor than succeed with shame. Tay stepped between them. Yang, I understand your feelings. I share them. But what if Jin is right? What if true strength includes knowing when to work together? Then we are not truly Velner anymore, Yang said quietly. Jin, who had been listening nearby, approached them. May I tell you a story from Earth? Yang crossed his arms but nodded stiffly. Long ago, humans lived in small family groups, each one trying to survive alone. We were not strong like the big predators. We had no natural weapons, no armor. By all rights, we should have gone extinct. But we did not. Do you know why? Because you learned to work together, Bora guessed. Yes, but not easily. The first humans who suggested cooperation were probably called weak, told they were abandoning tradition. It took a long time for us to accept that asking for help was not weakness, that sharing the hunt was not shameful, that protecting each other made everyone stronger. Jin looked at each of them. Your traditions are valuable. Individual excellence matters. But evolution is not about replacing old ways with new ones. It is about adding new tools to your collection. Pretty words, Young said. But words do not win battles. Then let results speak, Jin replied. We have 16 days until the trials. Give me these 16 days. If my methods do not work, you can return to traditional training, and I will apologize for wasting your time. Yang looked at his squad mates. They had all changed over the past week. They smiled more. They seemed lighter, more confident. Even Tae, who always carried the weight of leadership like armor, seemed more relaxed. Fine, Yang agreed. 16 days. But I am not singing any more of your human songs. Jin's grin was infectious. Deal. The real breakthrough came during a capture the flag exercise against Squadron 9, a group of Kryn insectoids who had mocked them relentlessly. Jin added a new rule. Each squad member could only use their weakest skill. Bora, who relied on strength, had to focus on speed. Nari, who relied on speed, had to use strategy. Tae, who led from the front, had to lead from the back. This is insane, Juan muttered. We are deliberately handicapping ourselves. You are learning to cover each other's weaknesses, Jin corrected. Bora, you are slow? Then let Nari draw the enemies to you so you can use your strength when they arrive. Nari, you are fragile? Then let Bora protect you while you strike fast and retreat. See? Everyone has weaknesses. A team makes weaknesses irrelevant. They lost that first handicapped match badly. But then something wonderful happened. They tried again, and this time they adjusted. Bora and Nari moved like they were connected by an invisible string. When one advanced, the other covered. When one retreated, the other created space. By the third match, they won. Squadron 9 demanded to know what trick they were using. No trick, Tae said, finally understanding. Just teamwork. Over the next 16 days, Jin pushed them harder than Instructor Rock ever had. But it was a different kind of hard. Instead of individual perfection, he demanded perfect communication. Instead of flawless techniques, he required adaptation and improvisation. Instead of hiding weaknesses, he taught them to openly share limitations so teammates could compensate. The other instructors watched with fascination and horror as Squadron 17 transformed. Some called Jin's methods brilliant. Others called them heretical. On the night before the gauntlet trials, Jin gathered them one final time. Tomorrow you face the hardest test of your lives, he said seriously. I cannot help you during the trials. You will be alone. But remember, you are never truly alone because you have each other. What if we fail? Hannah asked quietly. Then you fail together and you walk out with your heads high because you did your best, Jin said. But I do not think you will fail. Do you know why? Why? They asked. Because you have stopped trying to be perfect individuals and started trying to be a perfect team. And a perfect team is much stronger than any individual could ever be. He stood and bowed to them, a deep, respectful bow. It has been an honor training with you. It has been an honor training with you. It has been an honor training with you. Now go rest. Tomorrow, show the galaxy what Squadron 17 can really do. As they left, Yang hung back. Instructor Jin? I apologize for doubting you. Jin shook his head. Never apologize for questioning. Your doubt made everyone think harder, train better. You were the teammate who made sure we did not get too comfortable. That is valuable too. Yang's tail swished with surprise and something that might have been pride. That night, the 6 members of Squadron 17 did not train. They sat together, sharing stories and jokes, eating human popcorn that Jin had made for them. They were not just a squad anymore. They were family. And tomorrow, they would show everyone what that meant. The morning of the Gauntlet trials arrived cold and gray. The entire academy gathered in the central arena, hundreds of cadets from dozens of species. The air hummed with nervous energy and excitement. Commandant Vex stood at the center platform, his crystalline body reflecting the morning light. The Gauntlet trials will test everything you have learned. 3 days. Multiple challenges. Only the best will pass. Many of you will fail. That is acceptable. Failure teaches us our limits. His massive eyes scanned the crowd and stopped on Squadron 17. Everyone in the arena followed his gaze. The Velner Cubs stood together, their uniforms crisp, their faces calm. But Tay felt his heart pounding so hard, he was sure everyone could hear it. The first trial begins in 1 hour. Urban combat scenario. Capture the objective and extract. You will face automated defenses and obstacles designed to be extremely difficult. Squads will enter in random order. Prepare yourselves. The crowd dispersed to their preparation areas. As Squadron 17 walked to theirs, they passed other squads who whispered and pointed. Think they will even last an hour? A Kryn cadet sneered. I heard they brought in a human to train them. How desperate, another laughed. Young's claws extended, but Juan put a hand on his shoulder. Save it for the trial, he said quietly. In their preparation room, the 6 of them formed their now familiar circle. Not to meditate in silence like traditional Velner warriors, but to talk. How are we feeling? Tay asked. Nervous, Hana admitted. What if we freeze up when it matters? Then we will unfreeze you, Bora said firmly. That is what teams do. Remember what Jin taught us, they added. Communication is everything. If something goes wrong, we say it immediately. No pride, no shame, just information. And we adapt, Nari said. We have practiced adapting. Yam, who had been quiet, finally spoke. My father sent me a message last night. He heard that I have been training with a human using untraditional methods. He was not pleased. The room went silent. He said that if I fail, at least I should fail as a true Velner, Young continued. But I have been thinking, what does it mean to be a true Velner? To follow every tradition exactly, or to do whatever it takes to protect your team and complete your mission. He looked at each of them. I choose the team. Whatever happens today, we face it together. Tay felt something tight in his chest loosen. Together, he repeated, and the others echoed it. Squadron 17. Report to entry point 7, the speaker announced. They stood, checked each other's equipment, and walked toward their fate. The urban combat scenario was brutal. A maze of buildings, narrow streets, automated turrets, and drones. The objective was simple. Reach the center, capture a data core, and extract to the exit point. Time limit? 30 minutes. Most squads attempted to rush through, relying on speed and individual skill. Most squads failed. Squadron 17 approached differently. They, report, Tay said the moment they entered. 3 turrets visible, more likely hidden. Multiple drone signatures. Streets are choke points. Nari, scout the eastern approach. Do not engage, just observe and report. On it. She darted away, keeping low and fast. While she scouted, the others held position. Traditional Velner warriors would have charged forward immediately. Waiting felt wrong, cowardly even. But they waited. Eastern approach has heavy coverage, Nari reported through their comms. But I see a route through the buildings. We will need to move in pairs. Bora and Yong, take point through the buildings, Tay ordered. Juan and Nari, provide mobile support. Day, stay on communications. Hannah, watch our backs and call out anything I miss. I will coordinate from center. Move out. They flowed through the urban maze like water, each person knowing their role. When Bora triggered a hidden turret, Yang immediately provided covering fire while she fell back. Not because she was weak, but because that was the plan. When Wang got pinned down by drones, Nari did not rush in heroically. She called for Day to create a distraction while she flanked. Teamwork, not individual glory. Data core visible, Hana reported. But it is heavily defended. Then, we don't fight the defenses, Tay said, remembering Jin's lessons. We bypass them. Nari, can you get in fast, grab the core, and get out before they react? If someone creates a distraction and someone else provides an exit route. Bora, you are the distraction. Yang, you are the exit route. Everyone else, support positions. Execute in 5, 4, 3. It worked perfectly. Bora crashed into the defensive perimeter like thunder, drawing all attention. Nari slipped in during the chaos, grabbed the data core, and sprinted to where Yang had cleared an exit path. The whole operation took 12 seconds. Extract route is compromised, they warned. Multiple enemy units converging. Alternate route? Tay asked. Through the western buildings, but it is unstable terrain. Risk of collapse. Can we make it? Tay asked his team. Together? Yes, Juan said without hesitation. They made it with 8 minutes to spare. As they exited the scenario, the watching crowd was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then another. Soon the entire arena was applauding. Squadron 17 had not just passed. They had made it look easy. Instructor Rock stood with his arms crossed, his expression unreadable. Next to him, Jin wore that proud smile. The second day brought an endurance challenge. A cross-country course with obstacles, hostile environment conditions, and no time limit. The test was simple. All squad members must finish, or the entire squad fails. Many squads left weaker members behind, choosing to sacrifice the slow for the glory of the fast. Squadron 17 did something different. We move at Bora's pace, Tay announced. She is our slowest, so she sets the speed. No one gets left behind. That will take much longer, Young pointed out. So? The test says we must all finish. It does not say we must finish fast. They moved as a unit, never spreading out. When Bora struggled up steep terrain, Juan and Yang provided handholds. When Nari twisted her ankle on rough ground, Bora carried her without complaint. When Day's communications equipment malfunctioned, Hannah troubleshot it while the others provided cover from environmental hazards. Squad after squad raced past them, leaving teammates behind in their pursuit of quick completion. Squadron 17 maintained their steady pace. After 6 hours, they crossed the finish line. Together, every member present. They were not the first to finish. They were not even in the top 10. But they were the only squad where every single member completed the course. That was the point? Hana asked as they collapsed in exhaustion. Commandant Vex's voice boomed across the finish area. 37 squads completed this challenge. Only one squad completed it with all members intact. Leadership is not about being first. It is about ensuring everyone reaches the objective. Squadron 17 has demonstrated true leadership. That night, other squads looked at them differently. The mockery was gone. In its place was something else, respect. 2 trials down, Juan said as they rested. 1 more to go. The Titan's Maze, Day said quietly. They say it is the hardest test in the entire academy. They say over half of all squads fail it, Nari added. Then we will be in the half that succeeds, Bora said firmly. Yang smiled. Look at us. A month ago, we could not pass basic simulations. Now we are talking about conquering the Titan's Maze. Jin was right, Tay said. We were always capable. We just needed to stop fighting against each other and start fighting with each other. Where is Jin? Hannah asked suddenly. I have not seen him all day. Instructors are not allowed near the trial grounds during testing, they explained. Rules against coaching. But he will be watching, right? Hannah said. He will see us complete the final trial. Then, we better make sure we give him something worth watching, Tay said. The third morning arrived. The entire academy gathered again, but this time the atmosphere was different. Squadron 17 was no longer the joke, the disgrace, the failure. They were the squad that everyone was watching. Before they entered the Titan's maze, Jin found them in the preparation area. Technically, he was not supposed to be there, but he came anyway. I cannot coach you, he said quickly. I just wanted to say, I am proud of you. All of you. No matter what happens in there, we will make you proud. Tay promised. Jin shook his head. You already have. You have learned the most important lesson. Now go show the galaxy what that lesson looks like in action. As he turned to leave, he paused. Oh, and remember, Cubs. Legends are just people who knew when to trust each other. Then he was gone, and they were being called to the entrance of the Titan's maze. The massive doorway loomed before them. Inside was zero gravity, automated defenses, impossible obstacles, and a test that had broken countless squads before them. Tay looked at his team. His family, ready? He asked. Together, they answered as one, and together they stepped into the maze. The moment they crossed into the Titan's maze, gravity disappeared. Tay felt his stomach lurch as his body lifted off the ground. Around them, the maze stretched in all directions, up and down, losing all meaning. Metal corridors twisted in impossible angles, creating a three-dimensional puzzle that hurt to look at. Sound off, Tay commanded, forcing himself to focus. Juan, functional. Bora. Ready. Nari, good. Yang. Operational. Day. All systems working. Hannah. A little dizzy, but okay. Good. They were all here, all functional. That was what mattered. They. Scan for the objective. Scanning. The data core is at the center of the maze. Estimated distance, 800 meters, but not in a straight line. Multiple defensive systems detected. Movement patterns suggest automated sentries. Hannah, you practice zero gravity in Jin's video game simulations. You take point on navigation. Find us a route. On it. Hannah pushed off from a wall, spinning slowly as she studied the maze. Her eyes, young but sharp, traced paths that others would not see. There, through that corridor, then up, then... Yes, I see it. It will be tricky. Tricky is our specialty now, Nari said with a grin. They pushed off together, moving through the maze in a formation they had practiced countless times. In zero gravity, their usual advantages meant nothing. Bora's strength could not help her. Nari's speed was useless without ground to run on. They had to rely entirely on teamwork and adaptation. The first defense turret activated without warning. Energy bolts flashed through the corridor. Scatter. Tay called. They spread out, using the three-dimensional space. In normal gravity, they would have dove left and right. Here, they went in 6 different directions, including up and down. The turret could not track them all. Liang, can you hit it? Tay asked. Not from this angle. I need someone to draw its fire upward. I will do it, Bora said, pushing herself toward the ceiling level. The turret tracked her. Yang took the shot, disabling it cleanly. Good work, Tay said. Keep moving. They progressed deeper into the maze. Every obstacle required communication, coordination, and trust. When Nari got disoriented in the zero gravity, spinning helplessly, Day talked her through breathing exercises while Juan carefully grabbed her and stabilized her rotation. No judgment, no shame. Just help. When Yang misjudged the push and was about to crash into a barrier, Bora caught him with one massive hand. He thanked her without hesitation, his pride no longer more important than the mission. Sentry drones ahead, they warned. Multiple targets. They move in coordinated patterns. Then, we move in a more coordinated pattern, Tay said. Hannah, what do you see? Hannah studied the drone's movements for 30 seconds that felt like hours. They have a blind spot. If we time it right, we can slip through the gap in their patrol pattern. But we all have to move at exactly the same moment, or they will detect us. Everyone ready? Tay asked. 5 confirmations came back. Hannah, call it. 3, 2, 1. Now, they pushed off as one unit, gliding through the gap in perfect synchronization. The drones never detected them. Jin would have been proud. They were not just working together. They were moving as a single organism. The center chamber of the maze opened before them. The data core sat in the middle, glowing softly. But between them and the objective was the final challenge. This is wrong, they said slowly. The readings make no sense. There should be defensive systems here, but I do not detect any. It is a choice scenario, Hannah realized. Look, she was right. The chamber had 6 exit points, but only one would lead them out. The others led to dead ends or worse. And there, displayed on a screen, were the words that made Tay's blood run cold. Only one cadet may retrieve the data core and reach the exit. Choose wisely. The test was designed to break teams, to force them to decide who was worthy, who deserved success, who would be sacrificed. Every squad that came here faced the same horrible choice. So we leave 5 behind and send one through? Yang asked quietly. That is what the test wants, Juan said. They floated in silence, each thinking the same thing. After everything they had learned, everything they had become, was this where it ended? With them choosing which of their family to save? No, Tay said firmly. No? Bora echoed. No, we do not choose. We all go, or none of us go. But the test says, they started. The test is wrong, Tay interrupted. Jin taught us that sometimes the strongest action is to change the rules. So we changed them. How? Nari asked. The exits are one person size. Even if we wanted to go together, we physically cannot. Hannah was studying the chamber again, her young mind working through the problem from a different angle. Suddenly, her eyes widened. What if it is not about going through an exit? She said slowly. What if the test is about deciding what matters more, individual success or team success? Keep going, Tay encouraged. Every squad tries to pick who goes through. But what if the right answer is to refuse? To say that if we cannot all succeed, then we choose to all fail together. That is insane, Yang said. We would throw away everything we have worked for. Or, Juan said quietly, we would prove that we meant everything we said about being a team. Tay looked at each of them. Vote. All in favor of retrieving the data core, but refusing to use the exits unless we can all go through together. 6 hands went up. Even Yang's, though his hand trembled. Then that is what we do. Tay pushed himself to the center and grabbed the data core. Alarms blared. The countdown started. 60 seconds to reach an exit or fail the trial. Everyone to the center, tight formation, Tay ordered. Hold on to each other. They came together, creating a sphere of 6 Velner bodies, each one gripping the others tightly. We face the Gauntlet Council together, Tay said. If they fail us as a team. If they pass us as a team. No individual glory. No individual shame. Just us. The countdown reached 0. Everything went still. Then the lights in the chamber changed from red to blue. A voice echoed through the space. Commandant Vex's deep rumble. Squadron 17, you have completed the Titan's maze. What? Young gasped. But we did not exit. You did something better, Vex said. In the 200 years the Titan's maze has been used, only 3 squads have ever made the choice you just made. To refuse individual success in favor of team loyalty. That is the true test. Not can you complete the objective, but what are you willing to sacrifice for your teammates? The chamber doors opened, leading to a platform where the entire academy waited. As Squadron 17 floated out, still holding on to each other, the crowd erupted. The applause was deafening. Even the other Velner instructors, who had doubted Jin's methods, were on their feet. Jin stood at the front, tears streaming down his face, clapping harder than anyone. Not only have you passed, Vex continued, but you have set a new academy record. Fastest urban combat completion with 0 casualties. Only full squad endurance completion this cycle. And the 3rd team in history to choose loyalty over individual success in the Titan's maze. Squadron 17. You are not just passing. You are graduating with highest honors. Tay could not speak. None of them could. They just held each other and tried not to cry as the entire academy chanted their squadron number. Later, in a private ceremony, Commandant Vex presented them with honors ribbons. But before he did, he had something to say. I have been teaching at this academy for 70 years. I have seen thousands of cadets come and go. Most learn tactics. Some learn leadership. Very few learn what truly matters. His crystal eyes glinted. You 6 cubs came here as failures. You left as legends. Not because you became stronger individuals, but because you learned that true strength is not carried alone. Jin stepped forward, bowing to each of them. I am just a human from a small planet. You are Velner, proud warrior species with thousands of years of tradition. But you taught me something too. You taught me that real courage is not refusing to change. Real courage is being willing to take what is good from tradition and add what is good from new ideas. You honored your heritage by being brave enough to grow beyond it. That night, Squadron 17 sat together one last time in their training room. Tomorrow, they would receive their assignments. They would be sent to different ships, different sectors, different lives. But tonight, they were still a squad. My father sent another message, Yang said. He heard about the trials. He said he was wrong. That I have found a truer form of Velner honor than he ever knew. My mother wants to meet Jin, Juan said with a laugh. She wants to understand these human methods. I received messages from 15 other failing squadrons, Tay said. They all want to know our secret. What will you tell them? Bora asked. Tay smiled. I will tell them what Jin told us. That legends are not born. They are made. Made by people who are brave enough to trust each other completely. And to do things their own way, Nari added. Even when everyone says it is wrong. Especially when everyone says it is wrong. Hana corrected in the instructor's quarters. Jin was packing his belongings. He had been at the academy for 30 days. In that time, he had been assigned to work with 10 different struggling squadrons. He had only focused on one. A message came through on his communicator. It was from Anthropic High Command on Earth. Instructor Jin, reports of your success with Squadron 17 have reached us. We are assigning you to develop a full program based on your methods.